Hey everyone, today we have the best news to update you on. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel and help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Right, go All Blacks in the comments. First news. What a game that was, right? Jason Rian, the All Blacks coach, had some pretty interesting things to say after that intense match against the Springboks at Ellis Park. He's not just focusing on the team's performance, but also on the learning moments that came out of it. If you are a fan of the All Blacks, write Go All Blacks in the comments and subscribe to the channel. In a match that mirrored the tension and drama of last year's Rugby World Cup final, the All Blacks faced a tough battle against the Springboks. This wasn't just another game. It was rugby's greatest rivalry, and everyone could feel the weight of it, from the players on the field to the officials making the calls. There were plenty of controversial moments too. Who could forget the high tackle on Sia Khaleesi, Bongi Mbonambi's debated try, and Cody Taylor's opening score? It seemed like every big play was under the microscope. Rian was clear that there's no point blaming the officials for the loss. He and flanker Ethan Blackadder emphasized that referees are beyond their control, so the focus has to stay on what the team can improve. As Blackadder put it, you can never influence a referee, but you can't control their decisions, and that's how it has always been. The match was also a huge learning experience for referee Andrew Brace, who found himself in the hot seat. Rian pointed out how tough it was for Brace, but he's confident both the team and the officials have learned a lot from this showdown. On a positive note, Rian was pretty pleased with how the All Blacks forward pack held up, especially in the scrums. Despite missing Ethan de Groot due to injury, Tamati Williams stepped up big time against the formidable Springboks forwards. Rian is looking forward to catching up with Springboks scrum coach Don Human after the upcoming game in Cape Town, and he's got a lot of respect for the work Human has done with his team. Second news. Big news from the All Blacks versus Springboks test at Ellis Park. The South African Rugby Union has issued an apology to the New Zealand Rugby Union after what can only be described as a major oops during the All Blacks' iconic haka. Picture this. The haka is reaching its powerful climax, and suddenly, fireworks start popping, music blares, and an A380 airliner flies overhead. Talk about a disruption. Saru is chalking it up to a mix-up in timing and good OL human error, but they've made it clear this was never intended to disrespect the haka or the All Blacks. If you're a fan of the All Blacks, write Go All Blacks in the comments and subscribe to the channel. Rian Oberholzer, the CEO of SA Rugby, personally apologized and followed up with a formal letter to the NZRFU, expressing deep regret for the incident. He emphasized that South African rugby holds the values and traditions of the game in the highest regard, especially the significance of the haka. According to Oberholzer, the mistake happened because a sound engineer, who couldn't see what was happening on the field, thought the crowd's cheering meant the haka was over. That's when the music kicked in. It's a shame, but at least they've assured us that they'll be taking steps to ensure this doesn't happen again. Now, this wasn't just any haka. The All Blacks were paying tribute to Maori King Tahishia Paki, who passed away recently. The team wore black armbands and even held a special prayer before the haka in his honor. New Zealand Rugby made a statement about this, highlighting how important this moment was for the team. TJ Perenara led the prayer at the beginning of the haka, adding an extra layer of significance to the already emotional tradition. So, what do you think about the Springboks apology? Was it enough? Let us know in the comments. And hey, if you love following the All Blacks as much as we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the latest news and updates. The Springboks captain took a proper knock from a high tackle by Sam Cane in the clash against the All Blacks at Ellis Park. And guess what? The tackle only resulted in a penalty, leaving many fans, and probably some players, shaking their heads in disbelief. Right now, Khaleesi's in a race against time to be fit for the second test match against the All Blacks in Cape Town. The Springboks scrum coach, Don Human, is keeping his fingers crossed that Khaleesi will recover. But if he doesn't, the Springboks have plenty of depth to cover his absence. If you are a fan of the All Blacks, write Go All Blacks in the comments and subscribe to the channel. Now, here's the juicy part. Sam Cane wasn't even cited for that tackle. Yep, the citing window closed, and it looks like Cane will be available for selection this week. Don Human wasn't too keen on discussing the lack of punishment, saying it's up to World Rugby to make those calls, and the team is just focused on the future. Saturday's game in Cape Town is where everyone's attention is now, and the Springboks are ready to move on and give their best, regardless of what happened on the field last week. But let's talk about that delay in the Springboks team announcement. Usually, they drop the lineup on a Tuesday for a Saturday match, but this week they're holding off until Thursday. Could it be because they're waiting on Khaleesi's fitness? Human didn't spill the beans, leaving it to head coach Rassie Erasmus to explain the delay. If Khaleesi can't make it, there are some solid options like Quagga Smith or Marco van Staden to fill his boots. Plus, big names like Pieter-Steph du Toit, Bongi Mbonambi, and Eben Etzebeth could step up as captain if needed. Wow, what a week it's been in the world of rugby. If you're like me, you were glued to the screen when the All Blacks took on the Springboks at Ellis Park. But did you catch the wild moment when the haka got interrupted? Jason Rian, our All Blacks forward coach, didn't hold back. He jokingly said the officials need an uppercut for letting that happen. If you are a fan of the All Blacks, write "Go All Blacks" in the comments and subscribe to the channel. So here's what went down. Right before the match, the timing of everything got a bit out of hand. The All Blacks were just about to get into the haka, our sacred pre-game challenge, when all kinds of chaos broke loose. An airplane was supposed to fly over the stadium after the haka, but because of delays, like dignitaries shaking hands, the anthems, and the All Blacks paying tribute to the late Maori king, the plane ended up buzzing the stadium mid-haka. To make things even crazier, the stadium DJ cranked up the music, and the Springboks fans started cheering and jeering. Talk about a messy situation. After all that, SA Rugby stepped up with an apology on Monday. Rian Oberholzer, the CEO of SA Rugby, explained that it was all a big mix-up. Apparently, the sound engineer mistook the crowd's cheers for the end of the haka and started blasting music. Oberholzer was super clear that this wasn't meant to disrespect the haka or the All Blacks in any way, calling it highly regrettable and promising it won't happen again. Jason Rian and our flanker Ethan Blackadder were pretty chill about the whole thing. Rian accepted the apology and made it clear that the Springboks players themselves respected the haka, standing tall as always. But he did throw a little shade at the officials, saying they're the ones who could use an uppercut. All in good humor, of course. Ethan, on the other hand, didn't even notice the chaos. He was so locked in and focused on the Springboks that all the noise and music didn't faze him. Even former Springboks captain John Smit jumped into the conversation, tweeting that while the match was incredible, the noise and music during the haka were a big letdown. He called for respect during this iconic moment, especially with another match coming up in Cape Town. Before we dive into our final thoughts, if you love the All Blacks and want to stay updated on all the latest news, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next. To wrap things up, it's clear that while the timing mishap at Ellis Park stirred up a lot of debate, the respect between the All Blacks and Springboks remains strong. Both sides acknowledge the mix-up, and the focus now shifts to their next encounter. The All Blacks are ready to take what they learned from Ellis Park and bring even more intensity to their next challenge. But what do you think? Did the officials deserve that uppercut? How do you feel about the haka being interrupted? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts.